family members of these individuals here that have come out. And if you are one of those people, I wanted to invite you up to speak and talk about your loved one and whatever you would like to share with us today.
Hi everybody, my name is Katie Lopez. I'm David Lopez's sister. He died about 8 years ago. It was not really talked about as much. It's kind of hard to explain with my brother because we still have ongoing investigations going on, but the way that it was portrayed in court was that as if he was a violent offender. My brother, he did have some issues, but he wasn't a violent offender. He didn't ever have a weapon on him. The Antioch police, 2 undercover cops shot and killed him. They shot him 15 times and you know, the 2 shots to the head is what killed him, and they didn't take responsibility for what happened. They basically just got moved somewhere else, and that was it. So there's a lot to say about his case, but I don't want to go too far into it. But justice needs to be served. I feel like, you know, it's just his life matters. You know what I mean? His life matters just like anyone else's. You know, he wasn't a bad person. He didn't deserve to die. And I just want justice. That's it. Hi everybody, my name is Samantha Lopez. I'm David Lopez's other sister. We're here together, me and my mom and my sister. And you know, he was a big part of our family. He's very strong, and he was our structure. And you know, we're not here to be against cops. You know, cops. We're here because it's not okay to abuse the authority of being an officer, because they all sign up to be an officer to do the right thing. You know, they're not signing up to go kill people. And you know, sometimes that just happens. I mean, but I used to be that kid that I used to sing that song, that Bad Boy song. You know, we used to play cops and robbers and stuff. But no one deserves to be shot and killed like that. Overkill. It was brutal. But we miss you. We miss him so much. But you know, hopefully those officers, you know, they have to live with those souls that they took, and you know, maybe they'll learn someday somehow. You know, they just have to ask God for forgiveness. But I still don't even wish death upon them. You know, I wish them the best, and you know, God works in mysterious ways. Thank you everybody for being here today.
We all have the same story. Police cover it up, they lie, you know, we all have the same story about how they won't cop to it though. Did I say cop? Anyway, like the young lady said right here, the cops can't lie to God. God's going to get them, you know, the bullshit they're pulling and stuff. Just recently, in Tucson, Arizona, just last week, there was another cover-up of in custody police killing, and that chief was the same chief in Richmond when my son was killed. I'm on with Mr. Frank Sterling and all his buddies at KPFA working on exposing this stuff and the cover-ups and how they go. So, you know, we all hear about this police reform and defund the police and stuff. You know, the police are not a priority in the city budget anymore. They've showed their hand, and all they do is keep on. The only thing they're doing is keep on funding their retirement funds and
pensions and salaries.
They do less and less every damn day. So we all see it. How many times you call the cops and you got to wait 3 hours for them to show up, if they show up. and they just keep on getting these outlandish paychecks and stuff. We're going to have to put a stop to that, and we're going to have to get true community policing out here with a community who looks out for themselves, because, you know, we don't need no one with a gun. We just need people to stop crime. So, you know, thank you guys for listening to me, and we all got to stand together. We got to stop this bull, you know what, that they're pulling on us. I also like to remind everybody, not that Trump's anything good, but Joe Biden is the one who wrote the Police Officers Bill of Rights way back when he was a senator in Delaware. So, you know, we go from bad to ugly, and sounds like a movie. There ain't no good in a politician. So, so we have to find good ones. We have to get them to stop doing this. We have to stop the police unions from endorsing candidates and stuff, because they're basically buying them off. Hey, we're in Contra Costa County right here, and Diana Becton, she refuses to convict a cop. She promised when she was on the campaign trail that she'd address these issues. She's 100% better than Mark Peterson was, the prior district attorney. But still, we need someone to convict or bring charges against cops, and then we need people on juries to convict these cops. All these circumstances, like I said, are the same. The cops, they won't even pull charges against a cop because the cops got this qualified impunity stuff, and we got to put an end to that as well. If you or I go out there and commit a crime, what do? They stack the charges. They're going to get you for something. They're going to make you plea deal out and stuff. But when a cop gets a crime, they'll think about it, and then what do they say? Think about it? Oh, hell no. I ain't charging a cop. That'll ruin my career. Well, they're ruining their career by not charging these cops and not, you know, the truth shall set you free. We got to stop these cops, and the truth, the power of light always wins over the power of dark blue. So, thank you guys.
Police, January the 18th, 2018, and I know how you guys feel, and y'all have my sympathy, and you know I will be praying for you guys that y'all get justice. My son's name was Terry Dean Evans. He went to go buy a hamburger before he was on his way to work, and somebody called up and said that he was trying to buy drugs, which was a lie. Then the police turned around and said he was trying to rob the place. That was another lie. So they shot my son in the heart and 3 in the back and killed him. So right now I'm trying to get justice. I'm fighting them with all I got, because them police deserve to be locked up. And they still on the street right now, but I'm fighting. So whatever you do, don't give up. It's worth fighting for, and get justice for him. Thank you for listening.
Hi everybody, I'm Angela Burns, the cousin of Charles Burns. To make a long, corrupt story short, May 10th, 2013, Charles was seeing surveillance by Concord PD undercovers. Him and his friend left the house around, I think it was after they had been surveillancing him all morning. They finally pulled up behind the truck that he was in, and they had guns visible. They were in plain clothes. The driver of the vehicle didn't know it was the police, so he kept going. He just seen men with guns. So the cops rammed the truck. It stopped going, so that's when Charles had jumped out and ran out. When he ran out, they immediately shot him 13 times. They also let the dog on him, and after we got the autopsy report, it was found out that he was shot at point blank range in his head as well. These two cops are the ones who did it. They were never held accountable. They were never fired. They were never suspended. They were on paid administrative leave. So they were paid while our family was mourning and trying to figure out what we would do next. So no justice was ever served. And we believe that they are still working. It's time to put an end to this. Too many lives are being taken wrongfully. Charles was killed 2 days before his 22nd birthday. Our whole family. And it's not only happening to my family, it's happening to tons of families. And that's why we're here today, because we're going to change this, we're going to stop this. And they're going to be held accountable. So we can't give up. This is just the beginning. Thanks for coming out.
I am Catherine Wade. I have condolences for the families who lost their loved ones at the hands of the police. And I'm so sad about the ones that was beaten, brutalized, that are still living. The ones who were killed at the hands of the police, their family spirits are dead. And I know the ones that are living that was brutalized and mistreated by the police, their spirits are dead. Because my son was a victim of police brutality here in Antioch, California. And the things that they did to my son, nobody wanted to believe it. I couldn't even believe it till I did my research and put all the paperwork together. Something they wrote in black and white that was a lie. They lie on these reports and they make the victims seem like that they were a criminal. They kill you and they beat you and they make you think, they make everybody think, the jury, the judges, the internal affairs, everybody, they make them seem like they're criminal. Therefore, they work with them, trying to make it seem like they didn't do anything. After the officers had their D in my son's neck 2014, they did the same thing to Rakeem Ruggs 2016 and he died. He died saying, I can't breathe. So today, being here and just feeling the pain from all of the families that lost their loved ones at the hands of Antioch PD, there needs to be justice. We cannot just start this and not finish this. This police department needs to be changed. And it's going to take all of us to do it. It's going to take all of us to do it. And I just thank the committee here that brought us back here again for the candlelight vigils for the family. And I just want to see change. I'm just tired of seeing people hurt behind people that took an oath before God to serve and protect, not to kill, not to beat people, not to hurt families, not to scare families. I had an attorney tell me, well, you and your family need to run. I said, what do you mean? You need to move out of this area. Why do I have to run? And I didn't do nothing. We need to continue to fight. We need to fight till somebody hear us so that we can change this police system here. And I'm just praying to God today, like I do every day, that things change because I want my son back like he was. I want my son functioning like he was. I don't want to hear about every other week or month that they done jumped on my son and harassing me and my family. And when you call down there and try to get some help, you can't get no help because they work together and they stick together. We're human too. Outside of you and that badge, that gun, and that police suit, you are human, we're human too. You get to go home and be happy with your family while we have to cry and grieve all the time, looking for justice. I want to see justice.
Before we move on, is there anyone else who wants to speak or say anything?
The city council meeting that will be on July 28th. The 28th city council meeting over across the street in Deer Valley. Well, then we're going to do it here at the city hall.
Hey, hello everyone. My name's Franklin. I go by Preble and Franklin on the air if you never heard me on KPFA. I too was a victim of police brutality here in Antioch, and I feel like I'm lucky I survived. When I started my research after I was attacked in 2009 by Officer Chris Kent, who I just saw the other day actually protecting the city hall So he's still on the force. And Officer Rick Hoffman, the two officers that attacked me at my house, me and my two friends, broke into my house and attacked us. What happened to me was we had a little argument at the front door about coming in. They said they smell weed, they wanted to come in, and I tried to deny them the right to come in my house to protect my home. And they tried to rip one of my friends out, and when they ripped him out, we kind of just grabbed him and held on to him, and that was their key to get in. They jumped in and attacked me, tried to rip me out onto my porch, and they started punching me, kneeing me with their knee, and I tried to run for my life. Basically, I ran back into my house, and in the house, they jumped on my back and one started hitting me with the flashlights. And basically, I just tried to protect myself till I hit the ground. And then after I got on the ground, Rick Hoffman jumped on my back and put me in the chokehold. And that's where I feel like I was lucky to survive, because I got choked unconscious. I tried to tap the floor and tried to scream that I needed help or whatever until I passed out. And when I woke up, Rick Hoffman was standing over and he said, that's what you get when he said F with the cops, and then he kicked me right in the face, and which broke my nose, and I was just all messed up. But I was lucky because I survived. And then when I started reading about other cases later, like Rakim and especially Wendell Celestine, Wendell's somewhere over on the other side. Wendell was killed in 2016 in a similar chokehold at the end of 6th Street, or one of these downtown streets, in the middle of the night. And his death was actually ruled a homicide by the coroner's inquest. And then in the end, they actually ruled it an accident. So, nothing ever happened to those guys either. And I feel blessed that I survived this. I had to fight for years in court to beat the charges, which were 4 felonies for me attacking the officers, basically is what they said I did. And my neighbors actually took a video, and when the original video was released, the day of the trial was beginning, the judge said that it was ridiculous that the video didn't match anything they wrote in the reports. So we know these guys here are dirty, they lie. They actually withheld that original video for 2.5 years and gave me some grainy, degraded video to try to use. And the day the original one surfaced, they dropped all the charges. And Chief Brooks, who's been here, who's a team player, when he got handed the chiefdom here, he called him a team player. He knows most of these cases. He knows Hoffman, he knows Kent, Mortimer, Moraga, all these guys, all these killers, and a lot of them, they have multiple deaths on their hands. They haven't just killed one person, they've killed 2, maybe 3. I know a lot of people are starting to do more research now to learn how many people they've actually killed here, but I can guarantee you there's probably 3 or 5 officers on this force that have killed more than one person that are still working here.
Yep.
So we got our demands right now. We know we don't want no Malone. We don't want no ILO, because we don't want somebody to roll up on one of us or our kids and start shooting within 30 seconds, right? We don't need that. We need people that take the de-escalation seriously. And that's where I start to believe in the defunding of the police, where we need to get them out of like mental health calls. They don't need to be dealing with the homeless. You guys know the story of the Miles Hall family, and they're working hard about the mental health and police. So yeah, we need to defund them. We need to get rid of these killer cops that are here. And if Chief Brooks wants us to believe that he actually is making change, which I don't believe, because he hired Malone. And I see a lot of you guys might have seen the picture of him hugging up on Malone at his place in San Francisco after he killed Luis Gongora Pat. So I don't know where I'm going with all this. I'll just tell you this, that we need to get rid of these killer cops. If you can look around and see these pictures here, it's disheartening to know that there's all this right here in town, and many of the officers are still on here. And like I said, Chief Brooks knows the dirt that is here, which goes way back. I don't know if you guys know about the Community Action Team. Anybody know about the Community Action Team? Got a couple people. Well, I think it was in the 90s or somewhere around there. They were running out Section 8 houses and like terrorizing the people there so much that they got in trouble for it and got disbanded. What about Officer Welch? Anybody remember Welch and Butler and those guys? Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of them's doing like 14 years, the other one's doing 8 years. They were robbing drug dealers and burning flour and grass at the burn site and keeping the drugs and the money and selling it and using it. You know, there's a lot of stuff that we need to do. They should be tested for drugs. They should be tested for illegal steroids, stuff like that, because they could be out on a roid rage, get angry and start beating you up, you know? So there's a lot we need to do. I feel like we need to stay focused right now on Malone and Aiello and start there. But we need to hold Chief Brooks accountable. If he wants us to really believe the talk that he lays out, he has to prove it with his actions and not his words. And I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Hello everybody. I just wanted to share one experience that I had when I grew up in Mexico, and I saw when I was in school, I saw how 2 cops murdered this guy for not paying his to get into the subway. So for not paying the fare, they just started beating him up until they killed him. So I just wanna, like, for me, police brutality, I mean, it happens because they want regular folks to be submissive. They want us to accept whatever, I mean, I live in Oakland and there's tons of homeless people. Schools are underfunded. Like, there's so many problems and there's so many injustices, and I think the cops' function is to make us obedient. Like, if we start organizing for like something just, they have to come and fight us, so that we create a mentality in the whole police institution all over the world to be there to squash anybody. It could be like if you're organizing, but it can also be if you're just like a person walking on the street, and if they start hitting you and you start sort of trying to defend yourself in any way, just like if they're grabbing you and they're putting your knee on your neck and you say, I can't breathe, for them, that you're just like standing against them, and because they just want people who are completely we're not people. They want us to just be obedient and take whatever shit and abuse they give us. And I think it's because, and I think they have that mentality because they're here to stop us from fighting for a better world. I honestly think so when they do horrible stuff like killing Tamir, a 12-year-old kid, it's just because they're brought up, that's their career. Their career is to squash people. And it happens all over the world. So I honestly think we don't need this institution. And the reason why we see all these horrible crimes is because the institution is rotten from its core.
Foundation up.
So we're going to continue, but we have a special appearance from traditional Aztec dancers right on the corner here. Some of the families of the individuals you see up here weren't able to come in person today, but did send some information that they wanted shared. So after that dance, we'll congregate back here and we'll share some information about the folks you see here.
It's a mean cosmic movement. That's the way that our ancestors teach us how to pray. A lot of people pray on different ways in church, temples, when you're home, we pray this way. And we're beginning with a permission to the four directions, the four winds, the four elements, the water, the fire, the earth, the wind. And we also asking permission to our Father, the Son, Donatius, and our Mother, we call Tlali Tonantzin Huatlicue. And we came to offer you all these people and all these people who passed away. We came to offer you the medicine that we use, copal, the incense, the shell, the acecocoli, the most important, the beverage, very sacred. All these elements that are very sacred for us. So we're here with all respect to all these people here in pictures to give you this medicine. At the same time, so together we can keep fighting. Just together to our own right. Sorry, my English is pretty bad, so hope you understand what I'm saying, but that's the reason that we're here. We're part of the community. We're from this county, Contra Costa. We came from Richmond to share this prayer together and be able to, people can hear our voice. So thank you for having us today. We're going to be continuing prayer. And I'd like to thank personally to Frank. So, I've been working with him a couple times already, and it's our pleasure to be here. And you know, share this tradition with everybody. Muchas gracias.
Norte, sur. Okay? Medicine for your head, for your spirit, here, for your body, everything from your cold. Take the energy of your cold, take the medicine of your cold. Okay? Thank you. Thank you.
Remembrance of them. And everyone please say Lloyd Harris,
Lloyd Harris,
Josh Peterson,
Josh Peterson,
Denny Gonzalez,
Denny Gonzalez,
Luis Gongora Pat,
Gonzalo Pat,
David Lopez,
David Lopez,
Wendell Celestine, Raheem Rupp, and Nathan Banks, and Charles Burns. And I'm gonna put 9 minutes. everyone hear me now? So just briefly, I wanted to talk a little bit. Normally we don't want to face the reality that terrible things happen here in Antioch. We want to think that it's a national problem, but we're the exception. It doesn't happen here. And we are here to remind you that it does. And that change needs to be made here in Antioch to hold a lot of these officers accountable, because almost every single officer involved in the deaths of these individuals is still employed by Antioch Police. There's a call because he knew him personally. They showed up to his home due to the things that he was saying over the phone, despite him being distraught. And Detective Bittner at the time said within 3 to 5 seconds of seeing that he had a weapon, 60 rounds were fired at him. And it was found that the officers in their report said that he fired the first shot, but his gun was actually still on safety and he never fired a single shot. Nathan Banks, up in the top right corner, was sitting in the passenger seat of a parked vehicle in Antioch. They had not committed any crime. They had not been pulled over for any reason. Officer Mortimer, I heard that, went up to the vehicle and first addressed the driver, then went over to the passenger side. And despite testifying in court that he did not feel threatened, witnesses say that he took out his flashlight and hit Nathan in the face with it. It caused a 5-inch fracture in his skull. He then told Nathan to get out of the car, and he fell to the ground, and then he tried to run away, and he was shot 3 times in the back while fleeing. Raheem Rux, he actually called 911 himself because he was experiencing a tough time as well, and he was asking for help. Officers came to the apartment complex where he was, and a struggle ensued, and he was brought to the ground. Corporal Smith here at the Antioch Police Department recommended a wrap device, and he was placed face down on the ground in this wrap device, and he suffocated and died. And his death, they said, was excited delirium, and they ruled it an accident. And lastly, Luis Gongora Pat, he was actually killed in San Francisco. He was a Mayan man who was homeless. He did not understand English. But Officer Malone, the reason that we have him up here is because Officer Malone has transferred here to the Antioch Police. Witnesses say he was sitting on the ground with a kitchen knife. He was not threatening anyone with the knife, the district attorney said. And Officer Malone showed up to the scene, and in less than 28 seconds fired 3 beanbag round shots at him. Those are filled with lead pellets, by the way. And within a few seconds, he was shot dead by Malone and other officers. And in the surveillance video, you can actually see Malone pointing his gun downward at Luis as he lays on the ground, putting 2 bullets in the back of his head. And his family shares the still of that video of Officer Malone pointing his gun straight down at the ground, because not because we want to get graphic and get gory and talk about tragic deaths of people, but because we want to explain that the police and their authority is just out of control. And so we want to talk tonight about what we can do to make changes. And although these people have lost their lives, what we can do to prevent this from happening in the future. And I know there are a few people here that have some things that they would like to say. Well, since David and Charles' family was here, I didn't want to speak on their cases, but we heard from them earlier. If you guys would like to speak again, you're more than welcome.
Hi, I'm speaking for David Lopez and Charles Burns, because his family deserves to know why he was brutally murdered by the officers. I was told to not talk about it. I was incarcerated. probation, and they said I wasn't there when that happened to my brother, so don't talk about it. And they had me sit on top of the hood of the officer's car, and I said, for what? And they said, just sit there. I go, what are you going to do, run me over? And for a while I was traumatized from it. I was scared to even go to the bathroom because I felt like they were just going to shoot me how they shot my brother. And it's a big scenario, but Charles was a friend of my brother David, and he had bought some police officers' guns off of David. But it was, the officers had robbed some Russians, and the Russians were incarcerated and robbed for their coin shop by Mortimer and his friends that were officers as well. And I don't know how Mortimer is still on this Antioch Police Department, how he's even an officer. He's abusing his authority. Mortimer, you deserve to be in jail. I don't know how you live with yourself every day. I just gotta say that.
Hello everyone, my name is Shiva Khan, and I just wanted to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight. Not only to remember all those innocent young men's lives, but to demand change. Enough is enough. Yes. Police brutality is continuing in our communities. Antioch, Brentwood, Pittsburgh, Discovery Bay, and all across the freaking country. Yes. We need to end this now. The police chief, Chief Tammany Brooks, he hasn't said a word. We have been protesting. We have been organizing. We have been demanding change. But what do they say? Silence. Officer Maloney is still in the police force within Antioch. There were over hundreds of comments at the Antioch City Council demanding not only the resignation of Officer Maloney, but Stephen Aiello, the police union president. They don't give a shit about what we say or what we do, but we need to make them regret the decisions that they're making. The Black Lives Matter movement is not a trend. It is not a trend. Unfortunately, people are proving it to be a trend. When was the last time you saw another protest? A post about the protest? Awareness. It's dying down, people. But it's up to each and every single one of you to make sure we continue to demand justice for all of these families and more. This is just some of the victims. Some. There are hundreds of more cases. What do we say? What do we do? Well, you know what? We need to demand change, and you know who is the power person? Or the person of power that can change this? That can change this police force? It's Mayor Sean Wright. Mayor, where are you? What are you doing to demand justice for these families? You're just sitting at your house, at your office, at work, while all these families have not gotten justice. They are in pain. When they are in pain, we are in pain. These could have been our brothers, our fathers, our cousins, our family members. We cannot allow this to happen. No more. Enough is enough. Whether it's defunding the police department, whether it's reforming the police department, but one thing is for sure, we always must unite together, because that's when change happens. When I say no justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
Black lives
Matter.
Black lives
Matter.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
Officer Maloney has to go.
Officer Maloney has to go.
Stephen Aiello has to go.
Stephen Aiello has to go.
Stephen
to go!
Stephen Aiello has to go.
Racist cops have to go!
Racist cops have to go.
So we must all come together, continue all these organizing events, make sure to spread awareness, make sure to sign petitions, and most importantly, make sure you write to your mayors saying we demand justice now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Councilmember Lamar.
I hear you. I'm Lamar Thorpe. I'm a member of the Antioch City Council. And I just wanted to be out here with all of you and say, as hard as it is to be here, because I'm part of that, part of City Hall. And so, you know, it's not easy to effectively cross the line and be on this side.
Thank you, Lamar.
And
Where's the rest of the council?
Right,
So-
where are they?
So I wanted to say, I hear you. I can't speak for everybody else, but I hear you. I know this isn't easy, and today I've actually learned a lot about some of these individuals who have passed away, and I can only promise. You're right, and I can only promise that I will do better in the future, because there are things that I voted on here, and I didn't ask a lot of questions. That's my fault. I should ask questions, and so in the future I'll do better. And I can tell you, Councilwoman Monica Wilson, she was going to be here tonight. She got caught up in a family thing. And so she hears you as well. So I'm not picking sides. I just really want to emphasize there are people who are listening. We hear your voices and we hear your concerns. And we're working day and night to try to make things better, because we have a lot to do. So thank you for taking your time to be here today.
Thank you, Lamar.
Thank you, Lamar.
Make it happen! Make it happen! If they can't change, get them out of there!
There are a few things, though be it small, that we can do as we're all here today. Most of us have a mobile phone. If you go to change.org, you can find a petition called Remove Michael Malone from APD. If you could sign and share that, that sends a message that, you know, a lot of people in Antioch want to get online in the, you know, on the public pages and say that Malone doesn't need to be fired, Aiello doesn't need to be fired, our police department is perfect. And it seems like those voices are the loudest. But by signing petitions and coming out here tonight, you're showing that they're not the majority and the people of Antioch do want change. So there is another event on Sunday. Where is that at?
City Park, 11 a.m.
Pittsburgh.
There is another event here at Antioch City Park at 11 a.m. if you would like to attend, if you're available.
Oh, the grassroots run. I forgot about that one.
Also, there will be one in Martinez for folks that want to go out there. Has anybody heard what's been happening in Martinez?
Yes.
Anybody? Yeah. So it made the news, right? So it started with the White Pride flyers that were hung up. After that, the city got permission, gave permission to make a Black Lives Matter mural out there. That you saw in the news that somebody came and dumped paint on it, tried to paint over it. So they're having a big march Sunday at 4 p.m. meeting at the courthouse. And they've actually been receiving threats of violence and a counter protest that's going to come out and vow to stop this march. So they've asked to not bring kids or little children because there's been threats of violence. The police chief in Martinez hasn't made no promises to keep the protesters separated from the opposing forces, I guess you'd call them. So I would just say, if you want to go to Martinez, be aware, be vigilant. 60 people actually since March, I believe, have been hit by vehicles, and so we know there's people out there that are trying to hurt us, trying to kill us for what we're doing, and it's only demanding equal rights and also getting rid of these dirty cops. So if you're willing to go to Martinez, I would just warn you, be careful. But we need people power out there. They're going to be meeting out in front of the courts downtown Martinez and marching to the waterfront. They're expecting a few thousand people, so you won't be alone. So don't forget, Sunday at 11, they're going to be at the city park, and they're going to march here. And then Sunday in the afternoon at 4 o'clock, they're going to be in Martinez. So you're welcome to check that out. And all those are online. You can check that out. You can also check out TWS Revolution. That's Together We Stand Revolution. And they have Facebook. They have a map of the route where you can park in Martinez and what to expect. So check it out. It's twsrevolution.org or TWS Revolution on Facebook. Together We Stand. And I'll pass it off to Rick here.
I just wanted to also add that tomorrow in Vallejo, starting at the City Hall at 12 o'clock, Sean Monterosa, they're having a march for him, and as you know, in Vallejo, they got, I think, 14 or something like that killings. Started way back in 2014, the same year my son was killed, and it's been going on ever since. So anyway, tomorrow at 12 noon at City Hall, which is down at the foot of Georgia Street and Santa Clara Street, and they're going to march up to Amador Street where the police department is. And of course, the police department has the whole place barricaded off with K-rails and stuff because they're just terrified of us. And that's a good thing because we want them to be terrified because we're going to read those damn bastards their rights. We don't need them no more. You know, defunding sounds great, but we're going to have some true reform here. We're not going to have them running the show no more. They're not going to be taking 64% of our city's budget. They're not going to, you know, every city has a high number like that. We're going to put a stop to that. We're going to quit having these cops come out with guns to mental issues or domestic violence issues. You know, I'm not anti-cop, but when they're shooting innocent, unarmed people like my son was, you know, I neglected to say my son's name, PD Perez in Richmond in September of 2014. Like I say, it used to be the cops were chasing me and maybe sometimes I deserved it, but now I'm chasing them. We all know they deserve it. Yeah. We're going after them now. Yeah. We're going to get them, and we see them running fast and hard. They won't own up to a damn thing. There's no accountability. There's no transparency. We're going to put an end to that. I've been up to Sacramento a lot. We had Senate Bill 1421 passed, where we're now able to look at police officers' records and stuff when they're involved in a killing or in a sexual abuse scenario and stuff. Yeah, it's another thing Richmond's famous for, is that sex abuse scandal with that underage girl. And you know what the damn police department did with that? They disciplined one officer, and that officer happened to be retired. They didn't do a damn thing to like the 6 other ones that were involved with it that are still on the force. In Vallejo the other day, at the beginning of this year, January, Eric Reason was killed by a Richmond police officer that was off duty. And, you know, being from Richmond, I'm all over that one. I've already found out that the officer that killed him, Virgil Thomas, is no good for shit. So he's one of those guys that was one of the girls that works in the office. It's a younger girl. You know, he's a married man. He was hitting up on her all the time and stuff. So it's just you know, these cops got to start acting properly, and got to get that blood off their badges. We got to you know, one of the new sayings I've been saying out here is blue lives matter, not lives, lies. They keep lying about all of our situations, like I said earlier, and they're getting away with it, and we got to put a stop to that. Right now, the only time they get disciplined is when they lie to the police chief, or that's about it. Yeah. If they lie to me and you, there's no consequences. And you know, we pay their paychecks, and we got to put a stop to that. They're answerable to us. They you know, every time there's a disciplinary action, they call it what do they call it? You know, it's internal. It's they'll deal with it inside there. They don't want to leave out no information, but we're you know, they don't want to give us no information. But we're their bosses. They're reportable to us. We got to put a stop to that again. And so much to say. And I'll keep talking. You let me. So I'll be talking now. You guys got to get out there and one more thing. We had Assembly Bill 392, which changed the wording from reasonable force being used to necessary force, which is big in the legal language and stuff. So I've been out there. It's been 5.5 years for my son, and I work with Uncle Bobby, Oscar Grant's uncle. He's been doing it for 11 years now, and like I said, quite often we go up to Sacramento and lobby ourselves against all these bad laws, or lobby to get the good laws on the books. And you guys got to come up there too. Yeah. We need everybody to come up there, and or if not, if you can't come up there, call your representative here, your congressman, call your city representative, call everybody as much as you can. We got to have our voices heard. We got to vote these damn assholes out. We got to stop this stuff, and it's in our power. The police, the law enforcement community is a well-organized machine. That's what we need to be. We need to be well-organized. We need to fight back. There's more of us than there is of them, and we're mad as hell, and we're not going to put up with it no more. So it's up to us. We got to get out there and do this. You guys got to vote, and call them out every time, and use that amazing cell phone and videotape something that happens. On my way down here, I saw him harassing, I was coming down Summersville Road. I saw him harassing a black man out there. Like 5 cops on him. I did see him walk away though afterwards, but I could just only imagine what they said to him and what they were doing to him. It's, you know, walking down the street while black is a crime. I don't think so. So I truly believe my son was targeted because he was in a black neighborhood. He was known as the white boy. Everybody knew him, everybody except for the cop. So, you know, and again, all the lies, I could go on and on about that, but they just lied. And every one of us that have children out here or loved ones have the same story. How the police lied, how they covered it up and stuff like that. So one of the other things I wanted to mention, every time I go by the Charles Burton sign on the Adopt a Highway sign on the freeway, a tear comes to my eye about him, because he was basically the same age as my son when he was killed. I see his auntie all the time over there in Richmond. She lives right up the street, and I see the families here today. So we need help. Help us, guys. Let's stop this bullshit.
Thank you.
I'll keep it short, because I'm short. Hi everyone, my name is Patricia Granados. I'm a guardian of freedom and the American way of life. I'm a 12-year Army veteran. I'm a proud citizen of Antioch, California. I appreciate all of you younger folks, older folks, everybody out here using your voice, because this is something that every veteran fights for. This is your right to protest. This is your right to vote, your right to be heard. Don't be afraid to go out there, okay? All you young ones, I've seen some young kids out here, you know? What's up? Yes, thank you. No, exercise your right. This is America. This isn't a country where we can't use our voice and social media. There's countries out there that don't have access to social media. Let's stay connected. As you go along to these events, meet people and follow. You know, go online, go and sign these petitions. It's important because your voice matters. This institution, what the police is doing, I'm sorry, but it's un-American. It's intimidation tactics. I don't like it. Police should be held accountable. Every chain of command is responsible for what they do, but right now it's just not happening. Historically, generationally, so now us, this generation, we need to help the other voices that are out there that are trying to make it happen. So use your voice, exercise your right to protest. That's what veterans fight for. Yes, go America. But we're gonna heal. We're gonna heal. We're gonna get there sooner or later. But we're gonna get there. I wanted to thank everyone, not only who came up and spoke, but just for coming out here today. If you want to stay connected and stay in the know about events happening and also about cases here locally, you can join the Facebook group, Make a Stand in Your Community. The admin right there. And we talk a lot about what's going on in Antioch with the police and events that are happening around here. I have to say, just most urgently, it's a very urgent matter regarding Officer Malone and Corporal Stephen Aiello. We have been protesting for weeks. I don't know if you saw last week, we were at City Hall. We blocked all the entrances of City Hall and didn't allow the city workers to come in. We asked them to call their mayor if they wanted to stay out there. They kept City Hall closed for 4 days in a row because we stayed out and occupied the space in front of the entrances. And the only thing that we've gotten from our city officials is that they're looking into it. They're investigating. But it's been weeks now. We have literally thousands of signatures on this petition. We have had hundreds of protesters show up to tons of events, and we have had no action, and so we're tired of waiting. And I hope you all are tired of waiting as well. Elections are coming up, so keep in mind what you hear from your city officials. Keep in mind how they react to the demands that we're making. And watch those police officers too, because they're standing on the sidelines of our protests laughing and making fun of us and cracking jokes. They're on Facebook making comments about these people. They literally this afternoon called them animals. So I just want you all to remember to pay attention, remember to get involved, and like I said, join that group if you want to stay informed. And I encourage you all to stick around, pay your respects to these individuals, and mingle, talk to some of us. So a lot of people here have some great information that you might be interested in. And thank you again for coming out.
Thank you, Lacey.
And lastly, don't forget that Antioch's moving to district voting, so you're gonna have to look and see what district you're in and who is your representative. So make sure this is the first year that that's happening. So there's lots of maps online. You could just Google Antioch district maps, and you can find out what district you're in and who's your representative, and also who will be running against them. So look that up. Don't forget to check that out. You just Google Antioch district maps, and you'll find out what district you're in.
Don't forget the school board.
And don't forget the school board. We got an excellent young woman over back there, Ellie Householder, on our school board. So yeah, don't forget to pay attention to the school board meetings too, because they make a lot of changes there. And we could thank Ellie for streaming the school board meetings on her Facebook page and stuff like that. So yeah, get involved where you can. I interviewed a woman the other day from Together We Stand, and her father told her, who was a Black Panther, he said that everybody has their place in the revolution. You just need to find it and then get in there and do it. So I just encourage you all to find your place, whether it's showing up, whether it's spreading the word on social media, whether it's organizing a protest of your own, sharing stories. Just find your place and then do what you're able to do, and your contribution will make a difference. Thank you guys. Thanks everyone for coming out tonight. I'll put on some